So I've had a lot of people, too many people tell me Natlan didn't buff anybody. That is a lie. Not a lie, but you're not, thinking fully about the big picture if you think that. So let's start off with the first couple of releases. We have Mulani and Kinich, right? 5.0. It didn't really change anything. These are two new DPSs. Realistically, it just made older DPSs worse because this was the new baseline Natlan was setting. However, we have Shieldon immediately. Best Nevi team. Amazing Risley team, and new Mono Pyro Arlecchino team. Simple as that. It's not that hard to understand. All it took, oh yeah, we're immediately looking at older characters and being like, huh, they got better buffs. Oh yeah, and Navia, and Navia, don't worry about her, yeah, she's there. Navia, yeah, she did that. Yeah, because Shieldon is on Navia's best team. I mean, what do you want from me? Like, that's just the truth. Auroran. Okay, not necessarily, he didn't necessarily buff, older characters, but we can talk about Auroran and Electrocharge and Overload. Both of those reactions got higher damage just due to the game being like, yeah, we're going to give those reactions higher damage. So Overload got a little bit of more damage, and then also now Electrocharge got more damage, and Auroran is there for it. He is a decent support. In terms of best in slot teams, don't really know, but if you're using him, with literally anybody, you could basically do it. And then Chaska. Okay, Chaska, she's a DPS. Not really much way to buff older characters. I mean, you could make the argument maybe like Shinha, maybe Shinha, because, Shinha being a filler option for Chaska, increasing the damage over bullets, makes her a lot better. Okay, now we get to the fun one. Silali! Oh no! Silali! Oh, it's not like every single Pyro DPS got buffed by this character! Everyone! Oh, so Silali comes out and she's like, oh yeah, every Pyro character, Hydra characters too. Why not? Let's throw Nevi in there, right? Nevi gets a new, cryo support. He's gonna be doing some decent damage, 20% res shred. It's not on his best team, but sure, whatever. Come on, guys. And now we have Mavwika. Do you think that Mavwika buffed any older characters, chat? Well, we have Chloride, we have Navia, we have Nevi, we have Melt Risley. Guys, this video is gonna be way shorter than I was expecting, but stop saying things like this and then just assuming you're correct. There are so many older characters, in terms of older characters. Oh yeah, Shieldon, Hutao. Now Hutao has res shred for both her Hydra characters. Very strong for Hutao. Great. Oh yeah, Mavwika, Melt Ganyu. Yeah. Older characters, they don't really, you could say Kaching Overload, I guess, if you're running Kaching Overload instead of Aggravate or something like that. You have Mavwika there doing damage now. Certainly probably is on the best Overload team setup for her, just the same as Chloride, but okay, yeah, I think we're good. Oh yeah, Sinnoh, also maybe Overload. Yeah, I'm not that big of a Sinnoh fan, I don't follow him that much, but Mavwika Overload probably, doing damage on there. Yeah. Lanyan, a decent option for mono teams for Arlecchino and stuff, shield for Nevi, give him the swirl shred so she can, 40% res shred, give him shield and stuff. It can work out, right, for mono teams. Mizuki, a DPS kind of on-field character. You can make an argument for Fiorina and, all them. Yeah. Oh yeah, Mavwika. Okay, Mavwika again. Mavwika and Shieldon. Ito. I completely forgot. Ito. Yeah, Ito. Amazing character. Love him. Kokomi. She being an on-field Hydra applicator. You have Mavwika. That's gonna look really strong. Also, off-field Hydra applicator. She can work as that for Mavwika. Very strong. Now, I can't say too much for Yoimiya, though, mainly because I don't necessarily follow her that much enough to know about her, and I wasn't really too impressed with, Silali plus Yoimiya. I've, had some people say, oh, you can still do it, and it's just, to me, it's like Yoimiya at this point is just a character I don't like using anymore. Her damage always feels too low comparatively to DPS characters nowadays, so, there are people who argue, oh, yeah, you forgot about Yoimiya. Personally, Unfortunately, I'm not forgetting about her. I'm just not mentioning her because I'm not comfortable with saying that she really got a true buff. However, all these other characters, they definitely got buffs. This is definitely buff territory. Okay, Eon-san. Okay, this is one we can talk about a little more in depth. You know, she freed up Bennett on, you know, characters who move a lot, like, you know, Chloride, like all the other characters, right? Oh yeah, Chloride. Okay, we'll just immediately say Chloride, immediately buffed. Boom. The tagline for Natlan must be the buff for Chloride. Like, legitimately, we've talked about Chloride about 5 times now, I think. So yeah, Eon-san, though, works very well with Chloride, and that means, you know, it's sort of buff on that territory, but then it's also a buff on the characters who don't like Eon-san, but you can now use Eon-san on another half without, you know, feeling like, man, I really wish I had that second Bennett or something, right? You know, Eon-san indirectly freeing up Bennett allows people to have that, right? Then we have Verissa. Verissa, again, DPS. Not really much to say here, right? Aoife, he's a support, but I don't think he's that good, so I'm just not gonna talk about him. Miss Coffee. Miss Coffee. Okay. Hold on, chat. Hold on. Show Miss Coffee. Who do we think this is buffing, chat? Ganyu? Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably Ganyu. You know, I would say probably, yeah. Diona, technically, yeah, sure. Why not? She meets the requirements, buff. Sure. You know, but let's keep it specific to DPSs until we get to Shina. So Ganyu, yeah, buff. Kamisato Ayaka. Yeah, buff. I would say that's a pretty big buff. Kokomi. Okay. Yeah, if you're running a freeze Kokomi team, yeah, that's a pretty big buff. Now you have, you know, Fiorina, you know, Miss Coffee, Yelan or something. I don't know. Whatever you're running for Kokomi, if you're running her on field, yeah, it's probably a big buff, you know, in terms of her freeze teams. Ayato, yeah, I'm not, I'm just gonna, you know, in my brain, you know, say like, oh yeah, if you're using a freeze Ayato team, yeah, it's Miss Coffee, probably a pretty big buff, you know, considering, you know, she's one of the most broken characters to ever get released, you know, as a support character, you know. Yelan, even, you know, if you're using a freeze team, I mean, she's getting 55% race right now. Now, here's where we, you know, lose up a lot of our characters for Miss Coffee, because they don't really release, you know, Hydro characters or Crowd characters during 3.0, and the ones that they do release don't really jive well with, you know, in terms of DPSs and stuff. Nevi, I wouldn't call it a buff, but, you know, because he does have a severely better team with Mavwika, but as we discussed, you know, that's a buff to him, you know, whatever. But if you're not using Mavwika with Nevi, then, oh well, you got, you know, Miss Coffee, and you can use freeze team and stuff. It'll work fine, right? Risley, yeah, his freeze teams definitely got better with Miss Coffee, you know, yeah, sure. And then other than that, I think we are kind of done. Oh, did I? No, I mean, yeah, like Arlecchino, I don't. You could say it because Arlecchino and Miss Coffee can work as a single target, you know, duo team. But we already have C Lolly we discussed for Melt, so I don't think so. Siegeween, I literally don't know enough about. I don't care about this character. Mulani, honestly, we could even say that because a lot of people have told me that they like her freeze teams a lot more than her vape because it's more consistent. It's up to you. But other than that, yeah, we've already reached 5.0, and let's see. All right, final total count. Before I mention anything, before I finally go ahead, I'm gonna look at all the main DPSs and I'm gonna count how many we got buffed versus unbuffed. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna do it. All right, Diluc, we're gonna say is absolutely buffed by C Lolly because he did, you know, hit plunge team for Diluc with C Lolly. Yeah, it's very much so good. And then Kaching, we're gonna say is again 1, right? So Kaching there, definitely, you know, raised up because overload teams. And you know, Klee, all right, that's gonna be our one that didn't really get buffed, although I don't know actually. Klee, I don't know, because I know she was really good for Burgeon, but I don't know how good she is for Melt, honestly. I haven't used her. I haven't seen any gameplay of her with C Lolly. She's just not a popular character, so I don't really have to, I don't have to bring her up a lot when I'm talking about her, so I guess I'll leave her in the unbuffed. I'll leave her in the unbuffed because I'm that confident that we're gonna be seeing good results for this. Tartaglia, again, I don't know enough about, so I'm just gonna leave him in the unbuffed because I don't really think it's gonna matter. Ganyu, she got buffed. Now, Zhao, there is a case to be made that, you know, a Sinyun, Fiorina, Mavwika team is better for Zhao in terms of DPS, but, you know, I'll leave him in the unbuffed category, assuming Farazan is better than Mavwika. Hu Tao, she got buffed, so that's another buff. You know, Eula, she didn't get buffed because, you know, we didn't really get a character that specifically was like, you know, good for her. Ayaka, obviously buffed. I'm gonna actually give Yoimiya the buffs territory because I've seen a lot of people say that Sealali plus Yoimiya worked very effectively for them. So I will give her the buff. I'm just not like, I've already talked about it, not personally like super, oh yeah, she definitely got buffed. Raiden didn't get buffed, you know, it's fine. We are gonna say Kokomi as an on-fielder did get buffed on her freeze teams. All right. Ito absolutely got buffed. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Shinha. Shinha got a very, very good revitalization, so we will put her on the buffed category just because her revitalization of overall her strength, I mean, it's pretty good. Yae Miko we're not going to count at all because she's a support, not really huge. I mean, if anything, she's probably going to end up getting on the buff category because we have Mavuika and Overload teams better for her now. Whatever. Ayato, he definitely got buffed with Miss Coffee. I won't talk about Yelan. I don't think she got, it's not like Shinha, who specifically it was like, oh yeah, she's really good now comparatively to you're never going to use this character and you're probably better off, you know, using her on someone else. But whenever you're using, you know, Miss Coffee and a cryo DPS, it really does make, you know, Shinha shine a lot more. Yeah, let's go ahead. Tignari, he didn't get buffed, so we'll go ahead and add him to that. Sinnoh, I don't know. I really don't know. My best guess would be assuming Overload with Mavuika. My best guess would be assuming Overload with the Mavuika because this guy, he's just not good to begin with. So I'm going to say buff Overload with Mavuika. Could be wrong on that. I doubt that any Aggravate or, you know, Hyper Bloom team of his would be good. Nilu, she didn't get buffed, right? Wanderer, he did not get buffed. Oh, actually, no. No. Yeah, Wanderer definitely got buffed. Just looking at it, the Mavuika, Fiorina, and other character combos, right? Because his whole passive here, you know, you get all of this. And, I mean, honestly, you could probably use him as coffee on him, too. It's just up to, you know, whatever your team comp look like. But I'm going to assume a Fiorina plus Mavuika combo is going to look really strong on a, you know, Wanderer team. Al-Haytham, he didn't get buffed. Dea didn't get buffed. It's a little, well, no, this one's tough. All right, I'm going to consider Dea as a support because her DPS capabilities are just that bad. Like, genuinely, I'm going to do that because I really don't see Dea being too crazy. Lenny, I'm going to say, oh, I remember a lot of Lenny mains liking Sealali, actually. I do remember that. They were, like, really high on Sealali. I'm going to give him an unbuff just so we can stack up because we're already, to be honest, we're winning in the buffed category. Yeah, and we're about to run through this. All right, so buffed again. Nevi, there you go. Risley got buffed again. Sure. So Risley got buffed. Navia gets buffed. I am actually going to count gaming here, even though he's not a 5-star, just because he got buffed and he is a very decent DPS, I would say, for a 4-star. So yeah, I'm gonna say he got buffed. Arlecchino got buffed again, right? And Chloride got buffed again, right? So in terms of DPS 5-stars and, you know, a little bit of few characters that, you know, exceptionally got a lot better and a lot more use and value, you know, I think it really only Shinha I went and bent the rule like that for. And let's be real here, I was like, I don't know if this character got buffed. I'm gonna put him in the unbuffed category, right? So honestly, the unbuffed category could be smaller. It probably is smaller, right? Because Tartaglia, I'm pretty sure I put in unbuffed, right? And I mean, let's be real, he's a, you know, Hydra character. Miss Coffee, his you know, his team probably is a lot better now. Or even if you use Mavuika, I just didn't, you know, I don't use him a lot or know enough about him, so I just probably put him in unbuffed, I'm pretty sure. But the total came out to 18-9. So everyone who wanted to sit there and say, oh no, well, Natlan power creep, the main reason why it's so bad is because it left all the other characters in the dust. It didn't buff any of the older characters. No, that's not the reason. Natlan power creep hasn't even been that bad. We still have Nevi as the second best DPS. We have only gone above 1 DPS. There is only one DPS character that has surpassed Nevi in terms of his damage and how easy it is to do the damage, right? We still have the one character with Mavuika, and yet people want to say Natlan's power creep is the worst. No, you guys just don't like Natlan for whatever reason, and you're looking for any reason to try and hate on it. But it's a 19, or I don't know if I even said the ratio, but it's a 9-to-18 ratio, or a 1-to-2 ratio of unbuffed to buffed. So legitimately, there are half as many unbuffed characters than there are buffed characters characters. So yeah, I'm just gonna flat out say, like, you guys understand. Like, you guys can't say that. Like, just think about it a little bit more. It just simply is wrong to say that Natlan has left older characters in the dust and there hasn't been any, you know, buffs. Because let's be real, and I'll use Ito exactly for this example. Ito does very good damage now. With Shilonen on his team, with Furina, with, you know, Mavuika, they are all giving him buff, by the way, right? They're all giving him, you know, 36% red shred, 40% damage bonus, 100% damage bonus, 40% damage bonus. Because don't forget, Mavuika does give the 40% damage bonus that decays, right? So please don't forget that, right? You know, honestly, it might not even be Furina anymore. It might be Miss Coffee as the character we use. But yeah, Natlan hasn't left characters in the dust. It hasn't. It really hasn't. If anything, Ito is in a better spot than he has ever been in. Honestly, that could be a true statement. I don't know if I want to, you know, I don't have perfect knowledge of, you know, and memory of what happened in 2.0 with my Ito, but I feel like my Ito, I would put more trust into him now than I did back then. But that could be wrong, or it could be, you know, because 3.0 put in pretty big power creep in terms of the hyper bloom, so it made his, you know, overall damage feel a little bit less. So I just wanted to talk about, you know, like, guys, understand, you know, like, stop saying that Natlan didn't buff anybody. It buffed a lot of characters. Like, legitimately, it buffed a lot of characters. And seeing so many, like, too many people. I don't know if I should say so many people, because that makes it seem like I've seen, like, you know, comments every day. But whenever I've talked about the power creep situation, you know, with whole hyper bloom and things, it's like, you know, Natlan power creep feels so much worse because they left the other characters in the dust. And it's like, no, they didn't. They didn't. You're just not looking far enough and, you know, understanding that they didn't, you know, leave these characters in the dust. They buffed them. You just haven't used the buff teams. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.